let's begin. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's go over here. Let's transfer. You never know what you are going to be getting when you transfer, but hopefully it's good for you, you know? All right, there it is. That's how the game looks like for me. I've been playing this for over 10 years now, and since I started playing NetHack, like NetHack was my first roguelike, and the only way for me to play NetHack Online back in 2010 was for me to learn how to telnet into a server. It kind of stuck with me, and now I play console. It doesn't help that I particularly do not like crawl tiles. I understand that a lot of people do, but it's just not my jam. And it would be like relearning how everything looks like all over again. That's like really, really not something that I am particularly interested in. So yeah, with that being said, let's click here. Yeah, let's hope that it loads. And I decided that I wanted to um take that off. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll think about that a bit more. But anyway, um let's actually play the game. So last time we were playing the character, that is yesterday, I was sitting here in the staircase to the shoals with not a real good game plan. Like, I actually don't know what I really want to do with the character for the rest of the game. Considering the spells that I have gotten, I am leaning towards Ignition. Yeah, maybe I could even get like Orb of Destruction if I have it available. It doesn't seem to be the case, unfortunately, but Ignition is available. I also have also Kubus Refrigeration, obviously. I cannot cast it, but I will be able to cast it at some point. And Ignition, 95% chance of failure. It's a really incredible spell. But I'm gonna have to really think about what I want to do with this character. But maybe Ignition will be a thing that happens. Regardless, we still have a good enough build, a good enough character to make it to the point where I can like choose to use Ignition. Like I don't need to rush for I don't need to rush for something like that, you know? Mm. It feels that everything hits all the time, despite my tower shield. That's kind of lame. Not much that I can do about it though. 15 damage. Yeah, there's so much damage from all these monsters, and the worst part about it is that they're not particularly like oh no, these monsters are going to kill me. It's just like regular mooks. Like take a look at this merfolk. Um, So yeah, that is a pretty bad indicator of the character's power level. That's like, yeah, your character kinda does not have the required resiliency to be able to do this at the moment. So that is a pretty good thing to immediately notice. Um, so I'm gonna go do something else pretty much. All right, let's just get out of here. I will come back later. So if I cannot do shoals, which is kind of a shame because I would definitely be able to do it if I had Ignite Poison. Ignite Poison would solve so many issues that the character currently has. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to go do bolts because the alternative is doing depths. There is a Wizlav here. I don't know if I am particularly tanky enough to be able to do the Wizlav, but I'm gonna give it a try probably. Okay. It's important to like get close to these things. It has call down lightning, which is like smite targeted um, electricity based attack, but it can only use it if you're far away. This is a new monster in 0.27. It doesn't exist in 0.26 and before. So by the time this video goes live on YouTube, 0.27 will probably already be released. So I guess you could consider this to be like in the stable version of the game. Um, yeah, I'm really thinking that it would probably not be a terrible idea to get some staves, so I can actually use the Staff of OgFE as a damaging weapon. Oh, you know how? Uh, I wonder if I should do that. Yeah, I'm starting to think that it might not be a terrible idea to make a macro so that lowercase b does capital BW, so that whenever I press lowercase b, I just like immediately use the Staff of OgFE. Um, so let's see here. Okay, the Frostheart might be bad, but the thing is that it cannot really hurt me unless I stand next to a wall. So in the tile that I'm currently standing in, it cannot hurt me. I can't really hurt it either, other than um, Toxic Radiance. I would have liked to be able to like Starburst it or something, but I can't. But I certainly can use a Starburst against these four guys, so that is excellent. No complaints about that here. What was the button for Starburst again? G. All right, pretty good. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm just gonna get out of here. And I'm gonna replace my cloak with the Scarf of Repulsion, which will give me ideally a lot of survivability against Yaktars and stuff like that. I can also use a Potion of Attraction. Evoke this, wield this. I think I wielded the wrong thing. The thing that I wanted to wield was the spear, and then like Starburst these guys. 40 damage. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, pulling those guys was pretty good. The Yaktar couldn't really do anything against me when it was within melee range. So yeah. Mm. Someone recently mentioned something that I've been thinking about. Someone on Reddit like made a post of why are amulets? Why does it take so long for you to switch amulets when switching amulets literally doesn't offer you any tactical advantage? Um, and yeah, like it makes sense. You would think that you could reply to that being like, oh, there's like this amulet that would actually be good if you could swap into it, but there's no amulet like that in the game anymore. Like, let's take a look at the list of amulets. Um, yeah, I think I have all of them recognized already. So, oh, actually, it's the opposite way. The ones that I have recognized are Reflection and Magic Regen. I don't know if Reflection attunes. If it attunes, then the argument is valid. Or if it doesn't attune, the argument is valid. But if it has to attune, then it obviously is not valid. But then you also have like Faith, Guardian Spirit, Regeneration, Acrobat. And I know for sure that Acrobat, Regeneration, and Guardian Spirit have to attune, and Faith doesn't really do anything. Um, anything that would make you want to wield it or to put it on mid combat, that is, because it's certainly a very powerful amulet, but not like that. Mm, so yeah, that was. I accidentally blinked into the line of sight of Roxanne. Fortunately, I was able to move away from Roxanne's line of sight because otherwise that could have gotten extremely bad pretty quickly too. Mm, Yeah, I like to quiver poisonous vapors. It's like dabbing, um, but a bit more consistent than dabbing too, because it cannot miss. Of course, it doesn't do anything against any monster that happens to be resistant to poison. But regardless of, or like leaving that aside, it's a pretty consistent way of dealing damage. This is the Wizlav. From looking at the layout, this has to be the entrance to the Wizlav. The rest of them are shops, actually, which makes me pretty excited because shops means a chance for Ignite Poison. And Ignite Poison absolutely fixes my character for probably the rest of the game, or most likely a significant part of it. So yeah, it's definitely a spell that I want to find. It's kind of surprising how bad the nerf is. Like, you would think that losing a single level 3 spell on a book start wouldn't really be that much of an issue, but Ignite Poison was what made Venom Mage so powerful, and not having it really does hurt. And now, I know that this character is a Fire Elementalist. It didn't start as a Venom Mage, but I already found what in the before days used to be the book of the Venom Mage, the Young Poisoner's Handbook, and it didn't have Ignite Poison. I think maybe the Young Poisoner's Handbook could have the Ignite Poison spell, so that even if you're a Venom Mage, you can get something from finding a Young Poisoner's Handbook. As it is right now, it has like the other two spells that make Venom Mage extremely powerful, which are Poisonous Vapors and Toxic Radiance. All three of the spells in tandem, like those two that I mentioned and Ignite Poison, make Venom Mage into an extremely powerful start in 0.26. And pretty much in all the versions where Venom Mage got to start with Ignite Poison. Am I missing the Wizlav? Urgent Crackle. So my hope is to maybe get rid of this guy like right now, but I wish I had burst damage. That is kind of the issue that I currently have. I don't have burst damage. I need to like wait for these guys to die. Ooh, that guy had a glaive of protection. That's kind of nasty. All right. Early today, yeah, I just started. I was debating whether or not I should stream because I don't feel so well, but I decided that I feel good enough to do it regardless. And this is looking pretty bad. Yeah, I just want to get to the Wizlav. But it's like literally on the opposite side of the level. Like, I started here and I already got into a couple of fights, so. It might not be a thing that I can do, actually. I think I'm just gonna read teleport right now. I have so many of them. We're gonna wield the spear because it gives me cold resistance. Yeah. Oh, did I get a lucky teleport? No, not quite. Yeah, it's not going to be a possibility for me to reach the Wizlav. It might be okay because the character is not particularly powerful. Um, at least for this stage of the game. For the early game, it was very powerful, but since I haven't gotten like my significant power spike in the form of Ignite Poison, I'm still waiting for that. Then the character is not that good compared to other things. It's also like very fragile. The thing is that if I was tanky, I wouldn't really have any issues like waiting out the poison and stuff. But the thing is that I am the opposite of tanky. Despite my HP, I have bad resistances when not wielding the spear and 7 armor class. So yeah, there is that. And also, I cannot take off the robe because the robe is my only source of willpower. So yeah, I would say that this character has been kind of cursed in those regards. Maybe I should start using Gozag money for potions or for shops trying to get better gear, and hopefully even Ignite Poison might not be a terrible idea to think about doing that. So I'm gonna use Brosha. Yeah, I'm gonna use some Brosha. Maybe again. Okay. Mm, okay. I think the correct thing to do is to wait for that guy to get over here, and then we can use Sticky Flame and Poisonous Vapors and walk away from it because I have such bad defenses that it hurts to take some hits from this Convoker. It blows my mind how bad my defenses are that a Convoker actually happens to be like a threatening monster in melee range. Oh, wait. I could replace my Scarf of Repulsion with the other thing that I have, the Cloak of Fire Resistance. The thing is that I put on the Scarf of Repulsion for shows, and I think I would have um, the same issue here that I was having in shows. And look at that. That is unfortunate. Yeah, it was impossible for my character to get to the portal vault in time. And even if I had gotten to the portal vault, I would have probably not been able to do the entirety of the portal vault or most of it even. So yeah, it might have been a blessing in disguise that I was unable to reach it. Mm, okay, we're gonna use attraction again. Yeah, these potions of attraction, I don't generally use them, but they're definitely gonna be a good thing for this character. You know, it's kind of surprising how slime creatures are able to go over deep water. Like, why is that? Mm, so yeah, I don't even have to go that way anymore because I already lost the portal. That sucks. I don't like frost hearts. Oh, that is really bad. What happened there? Okay, so the Convoker saw me and immediately started to convoke, and then a couple of turns after it started convoking, like it actually takes 3 turns for it to do it every time. Very consistently, it takes 3 turns. Um, So it convoked a warden, and the warden pushed me away from the door while I was like trying to run away into the open space to prevent the frost hearts to from freezing me. Because you cannot fight any of the like you cannot fight these at all if you're hogging a wall. It's like extremely bad for you, especially if you don't have any cold resistance. With cold resistance, it's still bad, and you still should try to avoid it, but they become manageable. Without cold resistance, they're gonna kill you regardless of your HP. It's pretty messed up. So yeah, very unfortunate recall there. And this character is definitely shaping up to be a struggler. Um, Slimes can swim like merfolk. Yeah, I just find it interesting because it's a slime creature. It's not even like a very large slime creature or something. So it's like just a small one floating on deep water, I guess. Hello, Brain. Good to see you around. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed tonight's character. I'm gonna try my best not to kill the character. It is proving to be somewhat complicated, let me tell you. Yeah, I'm starting to feel that the only reason why I was able to do Spider and not immediately explode like it happened in shows and like it has been happening in bolts so far is because Spider is very weak to poison. So yeah, if it had not been Spider, if it had been Snake, I would be in a serious issue with this character. Not that I am not already in a serious issue with the character anyway, because well, like every monster like hurts. It's quite a struggle. It would be nice if I could also hurt the monsters in return, but I haven't really acquired that ability just yet. Mm. Oh, I'm out of mana. Gozag. Gozag time. Resistance might haste heal wounds, curing, and magic. Well, that's kind of everything that I could ever want. It's also extremely expensive, but one has to do what one has to do in order to not die, you know? And it's better to spend 1,000 gold on a bunch of very good potions than to not have the ability to do so, you know? Mm, I was thinking of using Lightning Rod right now, but it's probably not the correct choice because it would make a lot of noise, being lightning and everything. I think it's not as loud as regular lightning bolts, but I think it's still very loud regardless. Ooh, I got a ring of scroll of blinking from that. That is quite nice indeed. All right, I'm just gonna rest here, and once I am done resting, I am going to go check those shops. I think checking the shops is definitely a very important thing for my character because it could mean Ignite Poison. And Ignite Poison makes the character from, like, turns the character from being not so good into being really, really good. And it's just a level 3 spell. It's not like it's funny because like I have other spells, high level spells that are like fire conjurations. Like I have Starburst, I have Fireball, and I still think that those spells are significantly weaker than Ignite Poison. Oh, I got Noxious Bogu. That's pretty good. I like Noxious Bogu a lot. I like it quite a bit. In fact, I'm probably gonna train for it. Um, it's a level 6 spell that turns everything that's kind of surrounding you in a radius of like 4 or so that is not also surrounding a wall. Like for example, this wall would prevent me to like place the pool of bug on these tiles, right? But if there is no wall, like I just place a bunch of noxious bogu, and the monsters that step on that take a lot of damage from it, and it is pretty good for them to take damage. Obviously, it even affects monsters that are straight up immune to poison. So it's a pretty nice spell to have. I definitely like it quite a bit, except for the restriction that it currently has, that if you're standing next to a wall, it's just garbage. I think Poison doesn't need that restriction, or that spell specifically doesn't need that restriction, because there is situations with that spell where you have it and you're fighting against monsters that are like weak to poison, specifically spiders. Um, but you cannot use the spell because the layout of the level is just like randomly happens to screw you over because of the downside of the spell. Like, well, not really downside, but more like how specific the spell is and how it demands you to be in a certain arena to be able to use it. That's kind of my grievance with positional magic. It really shouldn't be like that. Okay, the Crown of Dairo de Prueba is better than what I have. Much better. I'm probably going to buy it. I'm going to completely ignore Frostbite, however. Frostbite is definitely not something that I want with this character. It's a fun weapon, but it's a two-handed executioner, Sax. It's extremely heavy and super hard to be able to use properly. And if the character is already extremely tanky, like I don't need to become any less tanky by like getting rid of my shield. That would be messed up. And I like Starburst. Starburst is a nice spell, but it definitely like you can see that it's not as good as Toxic Radiance Ignite Poison would be. Like it definitely lacks the consistency of those because like all the misses and stuff. Did you equip the crown? I haven't bought it yet because there is more shops in this level. There's at least 2 more shops, and I am hoping like that I find something better. But when I am done exploring this level, I am going to go back and buy the crown, and then I'm gonna equip it. That's kind of what I do all the time. Like, but of course, if I didn't know that there were more shops in this level, I would have bought it already. Um, nice emote. Thumbs up. Yeah. Oh, I took so much damage. Like there's some random fights against like random monsters that I just explode out of nowhere, and I don't even notice because normally you wouldn't explode from fights like those, but not for this character, I guess. Right, how is everyone doing tonight? Um, I am in a bit of neck pain. There has to be something that I can do to fix it, but obviously not immediately. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna get rid of this as well. If I need resistance to corrosion, I can wield the spear that provides me just that. Um, the animation of Starburst makes it take unnecessarily long, I think. Oh, the glowing orange brain summoned the Thunderhawk. Alrighty. I didn't even notice that. Alright. It feels good to cast Starburst, but it actually does like hit monsters and it hurts them. It's like really really nice to cast it and just like have everything that is surrounding you die. And when it comes to Starburst, I like how it makes you think about how you're going to position. Um, like it actually feels like you can influence the spell and you're not like just randomly screwed. Just like with Noxious Bug. Like you happen to get bad level generation with Noxious Bug, well, sorry for that, but you're not gonna be able to use the spell at all. With Starburst, it's like, yeah, you can move like once or twice, and you can like maneuver monsters into stepping in the correct spot, and then they are probably going to explode because of Starburst. That's something that I like a lot from that spell. And another positional magic spell should really aim to replicate that. I think that a lot of them really need a rework of some kind. Um, okay, I think I'm gonna continue training these for Starbursts. I am going to be optimistic, and I'm gonna say that 13 is going to give me enough to pretty much never miscast it again. Oh. Yeah, if I wanted to train something long term, it would definitely not be conjurations. It would be fire magic, so I can go for ignition. And yeah, when it comes to this character, I could also just like go immediately for some of the other very good spells that I already have, like well, ignition. I already mentioned it, but I also have available also Kubus Freeze, refrigeration. Also Kubus refrigeration. I also have Polar Vortex. I have Chain Lightning. Um, so yeah, I really do have like good spells, but they're like super expensive. Not something that you can like really get at will this early in the game anyway. I was thinking of like silencing Donald, but it's definitely not gonna be an option. Um, Maybe I wanna get the potion of 3. No, why would I get that? I'm gonna get resistance, might, and haste. Yeah, haste is really what I wanna get from that. I could have appreciated some. brilliance as well because of the increased spell power and other nice benefits that brilliance provides. But unfortunately, it was not something that I got this time. I feel like that is a waste of a turn, like straight up a waste of a turn. Oh, I just remembered that I have Mystic Blast, so I guess I can do something against Donald. Yeah, Donald's quotes are amazing. The bolts, they should have called it the dumps. And the funny thing about Donald is that the quotes that he mentions, the quotes that he has, vary depending on where he is. So if he generates in shoals, for example, he gets different quotes and stuff like that. He also has different quotes depending on what you, the player, have. Like if you're with Gozag, he gives you some specific quotes that unfortunately he didn't say anything. Oh, he said one of them actually. What the potions have to do with a god of gold anyway? Yeah, he has a bunch of quotes like that, and that is obviously making reference to potion petition. Um, so yeah, I definitely do enjoy my Donald quotes. I guess Donald is supposed to be like a jab at the players from the developers because of all the constant complaining that exists in the community. It's like a very prevalent thing, actually. Wow, is that a bazaar? Oh, it's a trove of treasure. As a truck guy, he asked, "Are you even allowed to read books?" And yeah, the answer is no. You cannot read books as a truck worshipper, and that's why you don't see me play that much Trog. I may not like branch out into spellcasting that frequently, but I like to have the option. And Trog is also like kind of a lame goth in general. It's not something that I like very much. Yeah, it feels very one-dimensional to go Trog. Powerful, but a bit boring and one-dimensional. And Okawaru doesn't really feel like that. Oh, by the way, my first character was a worshipper of Okawaru, and it's okay that I didn't get to back it up in time because I'm kind of excited for playing Okawaru again because Okawaru got a new ability. Um, yeah, Okawaru got an ability that if you play League of Legends, if you have ever played League of Legends, I guess, it's pretty much the ultimate of Mordekaiser. And if you have never played League of Legends, it's an ability that lets you target a single enemy and it takes you to a magical, wonderful place where you can fight against the enemy one versus one. So no support from whatever allies the enemies happen to have. It does have a downside attached to it. In fact, it's like a whole new conduct that Okawaru has. You cannot use allies anymore with Okawaru. So if you happen to have summon spells, I'm not saying that you are a summoner because I don't particularly believe in the viability of summonings as a playstyle. I think of it as kind of the same as stabbing. Yeah, you should consider summons and stabbing like a nice bonus, not something that you should build your entire character around. Um, Unlike like melee and other stuff that are a bit more viable in my opinion. Um, so yeah, if you're a character that uses summons like pretty much every fight, you probably shouldn't go Kawaru. But those characters are like very few and far between. You can more often than not just like stop using summons and go Kawaru because Okawaru provides you with more power than summons, in my opinion. That is, summons also have like a very significant downside that I don't think they should have, and that is that whenever a summon hurts a monster, unless the monster heals to full HP before you kill it, you get less experience from killing that monster, and I think that's kind of messed up. Like summons are already not that good or fun. They don't need that extra downside attached to them, in my opinion. That is, and that is why I abstain myself from playing summoners. Yeah, I just don't enjoy the playstyle. In fact, I was thinking about my first character of this account, the Troll Enchanter. I was thinking that maybe it would have been a good idea for that character to start as a summoner, actually, because summons are probably a bit harder than the enchanter playstyle. Yeah, I should have done that with the troll. I wonder if there's gonna be like maybe I can do Minotaur Summoner. I think that's how I won Summoner in my main account. Like I just went Minotaur Summoner. Has it ever occurred to you that you went extended with Trog and maxed all non-magic skills and have no other option but to train spellcasting? I have not tried that, and the reason why it's extremely hard to get to the point where you max everything that is not magic if you're not using magic. Yeah, have you considered that? If you if you don't have ignition, if you don't have rich, if you don't have level 9 spells, if you don't have necromutation, if you don't have like all that good stuff that you get from magic for the extended game that allows you to get to the point where you have literally every skill to max. Um, how are you going to get to that point? Like getting to that point with melee would require literally like thousands of hours of grinding the abyss. I don't even know if you can do that. I wonder if the abyss has a salt clock. Hopefully not. Imagine dying in the abyss because of the salt clock. That would suck. But anyway, I think there was nothing in this shop in this level for me in the shops or nothing else that I wanted. So I am going to get the crown. Where is the crown? Yeah, the crown of Dairo Bepreva is going to be a pretty nice thing for me to get. Definitely a nice boost for my character. It gives me a bit more armor class. It also gives me resistance to electricity. It gives me one less intelligence than the hat, but it's like literally negligible. It doesn't matter to have one less intelligence when I am getting one more armor class, which is more noticeable than one intelligence, and also resistance to electricity. So I can like just throw away this war axe now and like kind of just go around wielding the spear. Um, and now my resistances look a lot better, like significantly better. I think wielding this and like going around like this makes me much more likely to not explode from random fights. Because if you have been noticing in this level alone, like pretty much every time I got into a fight, I lost like 100 HP or more every fight against it doesn't even matter like the quality of the monsters that I was fighting against. I lost like around 100 or maybe even more than that, which is obviously really bad, but not much that I can do about it. At least all that I can really do is like survive, and eventually we're going to get to the point where that is no longer going to happen because I'm going to have a huge burst of damage. So fights are going to be over in like 3 turns or whatever, which is the ideal goal for pretty much every spellcaster. Okay, I am on a streak of 2, and the 2 previous characters also got the Desolation Assault. And I think an important reason for me to be able to win those characters was that I completely disregarded the Desolation Assault. So since I have disregarded it previously and it has worked favorably for me, I am going to do exactly the same this time. Yeah, the Desolation Assault is a death trap. I definitely do not like going into the Desolation Assault. I mentioned it in my previous character, but I am going to repeat it because I'm going to assume that not everyone is gonna like watch all the videos of this series on YouTube. Um, but yeah, the Desolation Assault happens to be a place where it's like open space, and you don't have to do it. You can just not do it, and the only thing that you're losing is potentially good loot. You're not even like guaranteed to have something amazing that your character absolutely needs when you go into the Desolation Assault. What you're guaranteed, however, is a couple of very difficult fights in the open. So you don't even get like the advantage of a corridor or something. It's definitely something that I just never do. Um, yeah, it's definitely not a place that makes me happy. I've had very powerful characters that would have been able to win the game die because they went into the Desolation Assault. And it's like very easy to make mistakes there and not notice that you made like serious mistakes until it's too late to be able to do anything about it. So yeah, it's just not a place that makes me happy. Another file of lots. I don't think it matters because I already have one of them. Um, Okay, I was a bit concerned when the Orc Warlord didn't die from that starburst, and I took 56. But I decided to give it another try, and fortunately the Warlord did die after that. Um, so yeah, I have mana regen, so I just have to kite these guys for a bit, and I'll have enough mana to be able to kill them. But probably not the Entropy Weaver and its band. Yeah, that is a good signal to just get out. And yeah, as I mentioned before, every fight, no matter what I'm fighting against, it seems that I always lose around 100 HP. That one with the orcs was definitely not the exception. And by the way, that kind of orc band is new to 0.27. In 0.26 and before, I think like regular lame orc bands generated here with like regular orcs and wizards and priests and like really underpowered stuff for this place in the game. Now warlords generate here and they have like 5 or 6 knights, and that's it. So no spellcasters and no regular weaker orcs. Only the good stuff, which is pretty nice. I definitely like that the difficulty of the game is increased in the mid game, because sometimes it's like kind of brainless to go through this part of the game. If you know what you're doing, you kind of just like go on automatic. On the other hand, there's characters like this one that do not have that power level on any encounter whatsoever. So it definitely increases the difficulty for characters like these that are not at that point of the game of or are not at that power level with their build. Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. Let's see how this fight goes. I should really like. Mm, I don't know. Like I've been using a lot of Starburst, and it's been working well for me. Yeah, I was thinking about that Convoker and how it was going to convoke. Unfortunately, there was not really a lot that I could have done against that. I could have cancelled it with File of Lots, but there was a monster little in front of me blocking my line of fire, so not much that I could have done about it. And once it starts recalling, there's no stopping it other than silencing or killing the guy. So yeah, it was too late. And hello, Spin Dart. I didn't reply to it, but I did see it. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for stopping by so frequently ever since you started following. I definitely appreciate that. Um, let's use Size Blast, and yeah, let's not be next to a Netin. With 8 armor class, these things can kinda kill me instantly. Well, not quite, but it can definitely deal ungodly amounts of damage in like a single turn, which is obviously extremely bad. When we keep into account that literally everything else also does that, so yeah. But Etins are a bit exaggerated in that regard. If you've never been hit by an Etin, they can just straight up kill you in a single attack if you have bad defenses and bad HP. Fortunately, this character has good HP. No complaints in that department. But good HP will only take you so far when you have 8 armor class. I'm starting to think that it might not be a terrible idea for me to get some form of dragon scales. But yet again, taking a look at this screen, I am reminded that I am bound to this robe of willpower because I have not found any other sources of it. Um, Oh, there is a ring of willpower. I literally just found it. So okay, we can say goodbye to the Rove now. But the thing is that I would need something to upgrade from. Oh, I have no mana. Okay, that explains why I wasn't able to cast Starburst. Um, okay, I think the correct thing to do is to use Ice Blast. I was going to use Acid, but sincerely, Acid is much more valuable than Ice Blast. Just because you can use Acid against Orbs of Fire in the end game to make them much more fragile. It reduces their armor class. It would also reduce melee damage that they deal to you, but they don't deal any melee damage whatsoever. So for that reason, it's not a terrible idea to be conservative with your charges of acid, because you might want to use them in the end game. However, on the other hand, you might also be in a situation um, where you literally have to use them or you're not gonna get to the end game. So if you're in that situation, of course go ahead and use your charges of acid, but it's up to you to determine whether or not you are actually in that situation. That's kind of part of the fun of the game. Um, any Quicksilver scales? Unfortunately, not yet. Yeah, and when it comes to scales, I have shadow scales. Where did I get those? Oh, they were on the floor on D10. I could have used those since forever ago, but I just like completely disregarded it for some reason. Well, I might take a look at those. Yeah, those might be interesting. The thing is that they are heavier than fire or ice scales, for example, so they are kind of hard to use. Wow, this Tango Reaver is kind of like spanking me. Even though I have resistances, it seems that it always hits me very hard every time it uses a bolt. Yeah, look at that, 27, 22, 16, 32. At what amount of HP did I start the fight? 189. No, actually, it was kind of full HP, right? Yeah, and then I just started taking damage like crazy. How does my HP drop so low so fast? I guess that's what happens when you don't have armor class. Yeah, kind of a shame. 70% chance to hit. Okay, let's give it a try. Oh, nice. Nice indeed. I'm very glad that Bolt of Acid did hit the Tengu, and I probably shouldn't have done that. I just didn't think that I was gonna find some enemies, but whatever. We can kill them because I am at full mana, and these guys are actually not as threatening as a single Tengu Reaver. I am surprised by that. Like, I was at full HP, and that fight dropped me very low. Okay, let's just get out of here. Yeah, I wanna go upstairs. Maybe when it comes to scales, I have fire scales. That's pretty much it. I would like ice scales instead of fire scales, believe it or not. I feel like ice scales would be better for this character because I have two sources of fire resistance in the form of the spear and the cloak of fire resistance that I am not using because I thought that it would be a better idea for me to have repulsion. But maybe I am going to go back to them soon. And also, let me go ahead and buy that ring. Very important ring. You should always... Oh, that's how you select everything? Well, now I know. Okay, now that I have my ring of willpower, I can put it on, and now I can like replace my row for scales. I could buy those acid scales. I held on buying them when I first saw them because I needed willpower from the Rove. But now that I have willpower, I might go back and buy them. But first, let's try the shadow scales that are on the floor just to see how badly they're going to destroy my success rates. They will destroy my success rates because I have bad armor skill. I have 0 armor. I've never used armor in this game before, in this character. And yeah, it makes Passage of Galubria uncastable. Mystic Blast is castable but not reliable, and Starburst is also what I would call uncastable, considering how many casts of it I have to do to kill something. I cannot be casting it with 1 in 3 chance to fail. Um, so yeah, other than that, like everything else is relatively castable. I wish I had Ignite Poison because with Ignite, so I've been mentioning Ignite Poison a lot, and I already have Toxic Radiance available, not only from Olgref's staff, but I also have the spell. So if I wanted to, I could just learn the spell. And Ignite Poison and Toxic Radiance are like very low level spells, level 3, level 4. So those are castable with these shadow scales, which is obviously extremely good. That gives me 14 armor class compared to like the 8 that I had before. So uh, definitely an upgrade. Not that significant of an upgrade, but still an upgrade. Um, so yeah, I'm probably gonna carry them around. I don't think I'm gonna be using them because, or at least not yet, because I need a Starburst, but I definitely will consider them as an option for the future. Um, I could also go check out those acid scales, which are probably going to be much better when it comes to the success rates, without me having to invest into training armor, which I should do anyway, because the end game of Nugger is usually wearing some form of dragon scales. As a spellcaster, I also have the option to go for statue form, which might be pretty good, but it does make you slow. On the other hand, I also have Gozag, which kind of makes me hasty at will, as much as I want, pretty much. That's like one of the perks of Gozag. If you really need to be hasted, you can certainly buy your way into being hasted. Um, and you might even be able to do it frequently, not as frequently as for example, a Nokawaru worshipper uses finesse, but certainly you can use your haste from Gozag much more than you would in a normal game. Um, so yeah, I'm thinking if it's no, I'm gonna go all the way to 13 conjurations and fire magic, and then I'm gonna start training armor. And I'm probably not gonna go for statue form. Okay, that was kind of expensive, but we can deal with it. 345 gold, it's fine. Okay, this is manageable. Like this is mostly unremarkable. Like the success rates of everything are still extremely good, and I get um, a bit more armor class. And if I switch into my Cloak of Fire Resistance, now I have 14 armor class. Take a look at that. It's not looking bad at all. Um, Oh yeah, let me do this because I don't want to attack with this thing. It's a spear. It's +3. I have 0 training. It's not like attacking with that is a waste of an action. So by adding that inscription, the game will ask me, do you really want to do it whenever I am actually like intending to attack with the weapon, or maybe typoing into attacking with the weapon. So yeah, no attacking with weapons for this character from this point onward, because I need that weapon slot for resistances, unfortunately. I did pick up this Vampiric Demon Whip, which is obviously like a goth tier weapon, and it's actually so good and so cheap to get to min delay that I could theoretically fully enchant it, which I'm probably going to fully enchant it, put on the shadow scales, and just kind of hold down tab for the rest of the game, and it is very likely to go well. Um, but I don't know, I already invested so much in Magic. But yeah, at least the part where I fully enchant it, I am going to do that. Um, because it's a Vampiric Demon Whip. It's like literally endgame levels of good. But yeah, I really want better resistances. Yeah, the only reason why I'm not just doing that right now is because my resistances look like this if I'm not wielding the spear. That's like 1 pip and 5 resistance, resistance to electricity and corrosion, pretty decent, but then I don't have cold resistance for Frost Hearts. I don't have poison resistance is mostly irrelevant, and I can also wield another weapon for it if I really do need it. But yeah. Hello, Alexander. Good to see you around. Thank you for stopping by. Let me inscribe this thing. Actually, twitch.tv/9settler. Yep. Alrighty. With that out of the way, with these changes that I've made to my loadout, and most importantly with these resistances, I think it's not a terrible idea to go do elf instead of doing more of bolts. We can go do elf, and elf might be fine. The reason why I didn't go do elf before is because I didn't have a lot of fire resistance, and I didn't have resistance to electricity, and like a lot of common mooks here have attacks, like spam attacks that check those. Like Zephyrmancers have lightning bolt, and good old Pyromancers have bolt of fire and like a bunch of fiery spells, right? So having these resistances specifically is very important. You also do need some form of willpower for demonologists and sorcerers. I think I'm well off in that regard. Let's see. I think sorcerers have more hit dice than demonologists, so when they try to banish you, they actually try with more spell power, so it's slightly more likely for them to succeed. And if it's at 7%, that's fine for me. At some point you will make 15 runes of part of challenge, and you guess Ogre of Gozag is a strong choice. I don't think I'm gonna be doing 15 runes with this character, and I definitely won't be doing 15 runes until I die at least once in this account, which hopefully won't happen in a while. And the reason why I mentioned that is because going for 15 runes is more than you need to do to win the game, and the series is like focused on winning the game. I also have a streak going at the moment with this account, so I don't want to like risk the streak doing things that I don't need to do to win the game. Pretty much the same rationale why I don't do the Desolation Assault, right? So yeah, let's use Mystic Blast against these guys. Oh, wait. Yeah, that might not be terrible. Okay, we have an issue, and that is that I don't have a good way to kill that Earth Elemental. They are immune to pretty much everything, so it's kind of hard to kill them with what I currently have, because what I have is Fire Magic and Poison Magic, and that's pretty much it. I don't have melee. I have Mystic Blast, but Mystic Blast, I tried using it a couple of times, and it's not particularly been the best. So how do we kill this thing? Yeah, we also have that same issue with Fire Elementals, by the way. But Fire Elementals are significantly less tanky, as you can see. So at least we were able to kill that one by smashing it against the wall with Mystic Blast a couple of times. When it comes to this Earth Elemental, I find it funny that it's marked as like harmless when it can hit you for 40, and it's immune to literally everything that I do. I guess the only way for me to kill it is like hold down tab with the Demon Whip, and it just so happens that if you do that, even if you have 0 skill in maces, it's still a pretty good way to kill a monster. Okay, so at least that takes care of my Earth Elemental issue. When I find the real Earth Elementals, that is not Earth Elementals that happen to be summoned by an Elementalist, we can kill them by just holding down tab with a Demon Whip after everything else is dead. Bolt of Magma. I do not currently have Bolt of Magma. I also don't have Earth Magic skill. If I had Earth Magic skill, I would definitely use like LRD to kill those guys. Okay, I need to go to my RC file and make that change. Like, I need to auto pick up Scrolls of Immolation. I think of them as pretty good, and I definitely would like to use them a lot more than I have been using them so far with this character. Oh, it blinked away. All right, that's nice. That will allow me to use Fireball, and maybe it will die from it. Perfect. And it killed almost everything. So far, so good. Um, oh wait, I have attraction. I should probably use that right now. Yeah, that will pull all these elves into these clouds, which will make them take more damage. Otherwise, they would just like wait them out and like spam spells from afar. Oh, ooh, look at that! She has a top tier weapon, and she has 5% to banish me, 5% chance to banish me. So we can use Louise's weapon probably. It might no, you know what? Thinking about it, the Demon Whip takes the cake here because I could grab the Evening Star, rebrand it, and like actually have like a high damage weapon. But I'm going to be using the Demon Whip against things that I cannot kill with my spells. That's pretty much going to be the only function of the Demon Whip. So I don't really need to make the investment to get to 16 maces, which is kind of expensive with a -1 skill. I have -1 in maces. It used to be +3, but it was nerfed quite a while ago, a couple of years ago actually. I still remember it, and I used to be kind of annoyed by that change. I used to greatly disagree with it. I don't do so nowadays, but I do think that old Old Ogre was significantly different gameplay wise from New Ogre, and I think that maybe New Ogre should be renamed Ogre Mage for that reason. Because, like, it's more of an ogre mage than an ogre nowadays, with all its weapon aptitudes being so bad. Um, But yeah, having trained that up to 13, I think the next thing that I want to do is to get some maces. 12 maces for minimum delay on the Demon Whip, and then I'm gonna be able to use the Demon Whip to like hold down tab and kill everything. Um, some in case you don't know, because you may not know, Vampiric is kind of a rare thing in the game. Vampiric is a brand that every 3 out of 5 hits, it heals you for a random amount between 0 and the amount of damage that you dealt with that attack. So it's a pretty good brand. It has been nerfed throughout the years because of how good it is. Many people, myself included, consider it to be probably the best brand that you can get on a weapon for a 3-rune game. Um, Obviously, since the brand heals you more, the more damage that you deal with it, it's better on big weapons. But I'm not gonna say no to a demon whip of vampirism, a vampiric demon whip, because it's still like a pretty good thing. Um, Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that I can just like hold down tab just yet. Maybe against less enemies, but certainly not against a bunch of these archers. Um, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I think for a while, the correct thing to do is gonna be just like wielding the spear that I currently have as a sky weapon, and eventually just switch to the demon whip for like very weak enemies. Mm, So yeah, this character has been kind of interesting. Definitely not a freebie. I remember yesterday that I was like very excited about the power level of the character. Like it felt very strong, but we have unfortunately gotten to the point in the game where it doesn't feel that strong anymore. And I am really sad that my playthrough of the troll, the playthrough that I started the series with, was lost before I could back it up. Because I was going to make a comparison between that character and this character, and well, if you saw it live, I guess you get what I'm about to say, and that is that those characters are similar in the sense that the early game of this character and the early game of the troll were both very easy, like relatively simple. Not a lot of danger was involved in those areas. But once I got past the early game, things were kind of pretty rough for both characters, or are currently being pretty rough for my character, and certainly were pretty rough for that troll. But then I got to the late game, and with the troll I had 40 armor class. With this character, I am probably going to have a bit less than that because I'm not gonna go for gold scales. But I'm gonna have spells, so yeah, the character will also be pretty strong a bit later in the game. It will just be strong in a different way. Um, so yeah, as you can see, like every fight, I have monsters shooting lightning bolts at me and stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to do Elf in 0.27, you should really like think about that, how like every monster in here happens to have those very damaging attacks. Electricity and fire is what you should be resisting when you go here. Also very important. Um, you should also think about willpower. I mentioned it earlier, but it's important to mention it again because it's important to just have willpower in general. You don't have willpower, you are going to get paralyzed and banished, and you're gonna die, and it's not gonna be fun. And even like weaker elves, leaving aside the demonologists and the sorcerers, they have hexes. Not these ones, but knights have confuse, I think. Oh, the elf archers definitely have confuse. I don't know about knights actually. I think knights only have invisibility. Mm, So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go all the way through in Elf, because Elf has 3 levels, and the final level has a bunch of high-level enemies at the same time. So it's a very tricky fight, but it's a fight that I personally like a lot, because it's like an optional challenge, but the one that will give you a lot of loot if you succeed it. And it's also not as dangerous as other optional challenges in this game, like Bolts 5 or the Desolation Assault, where you are probably going to be trapped in the level, and it's going to be extremely difficult for you to escape the level if you decide that you've already had your fair share of beatings from the monsters, which will probably happen if you want to escape the level, and you might be trapped, and it might kill you if you cannot escape it. It has happened to me before. It hasn't happened to me in recent years, I would say, because I've also started doing those things much less. It's a nice perk that comes with experience when you can tell that your character is definitely not ready for certain things. Um, so you avoid doing them, and therefore you avoid dying to them. But something that I can recommend to everyone playing this game is that whenever you feel like you are not going to be able to do something in this game, you probably shouldn't even attempt to do so, because it's safer. It's safer to just skip the thing that you're pondering about doing than to try to do it and die and lose a couple of hours of progress. That kind of definitely does suck. So yeah. Oh, I used Starburst against that accidentally. Okay, it really does take a while to kill the Earth Elemental with only Mystic Blast. So it's kind of nice that I picked up the Demon Whip and that I fully enchanted it. So unlike Earth Elementals, dancing weapons actually hurt a lot, because they're fast and they also hit pretty hard. They hit less hard than Earth Elementals, but they hit much more frequently. So as you can see, like my HP is already, hey, I already lost 100 HP. Well, it's more like 90, but you get the point. Every fight, I take so much damage. I cannot wait for that to be remediated. But I am certainly hoping that it doesn't take a while for that to happen. Like ideally, I would just find a fully enchanted set of, I don't know, oh, I would say storm scales, but storm scales would have the same issue that I have with the shadow scales that I currently have available, in the sense that I put them on and my spells kind of go to the gutter. In fact, let's actually do that. Let's just take a look at my spells right now. 9% on Passage of Galubria, 3% on Starburst, everything else is at 1%. And if I go to the shadow scales, we have uncastable Passage of Galubria, uncastable Starburst, kind of uncastable Mystic Blast as well, because 17% for a spell that you want to spam is not good, and it even hurts my Blink, so definitely not there just yet. Let's go back to my acid scales, obviously. That was only a test. I think in order for me to get to the point where I can actually use those shadow scales and buy as a side effect, yeah, that's how I could put it. As a side effect, I would also be able to wear storm scales because they are practically the same, except for the effect that they actually provide. Like they have 10 base armor class. They also have 15 evasion rating. The only difference is that shadow scales give you a lot of stealth, and storm scales give you resistance to electricity. Personally, I value the resistance to electricity significantly more than I value the stealth, but that is just me, and I don't normally use stealth at all. But yeah, talking about that, I am considering doing a character that uses a stealth. I have a lot of viewers that really want me to do a stealth character. I think Spin Dart has mentioned that in the past. Also Shaper. So yeah, like they're very consistent followers of the content. So maybe I'm gonna give it a try soon. It's definitely going to be a character that uses stabbing as a bonus. Not a character that only stabs. That is something very important that I have to notate, because I personally don't think that characters that only stab are particularly viable. Oh wow, the two of these guys got revived. Did they both get revived by a single? Um, hmm. The two of them might have gotten revived by a single lost soul. That's interesting. And annoying, because I'm out of mana. Let's use some potion petition. I need magic for sure. I'm gonna go for haste and heal wounds first. I think hasting is important. And I don't really have enough money to do it again, so I'm just gonna use some of the potions that I currently have. I'm actually only gonna use Brilliance because I already have haste, which is the thing that I wanted the most. And now I'm just gonna like walk pretty carefully over here. And maybe Fireball. Fireball could be dangerous because it makes a lot of noise. So yeah, you hear a shout. It's much better than you hear 20 shouts, which could have happened, but fortunately it didn't, so I guess we are okay. And I think I might be able to just like kill these guys and then get out of here. All right. What is this? Is that a mutagenic cloud? This seems fishy. That's a ghost bolt. Is it open by default? I remember some developers mentioning that they don't like the idea of ruined doors existing. Maybe it already got removed. I think that's kind of funny how those changes happen so quickly. Like the same thing happened with metabolic and glaciation back in the day when it was removed from the ice element, or when it was added to the ice elementalist book instead of summon ice beast. A developer was like, oh yeah, we've been looking for something to replace Summon Ice Beast from the starting book for a while now. Um, so it immediately got replaced, and that's kind of insane. Um, oh, maybe it's not. It's not a Ghost Vault. Huh. Interesting. Why does this exist? A fountain of sparkling water. I wonder if it's like some form of vintage bolt that required you to go into the mutagenic cloud to drink from the fountain to enable controlled teleports. That's like super ancient Crawl, by the way. It used to be like that. It's no longer like that, obviously, but I still remember. Alrighty. Ooh, look at that. Okay. The Annihilator is going to be annoying. What do you have, actually? Lightning Bolt, Iron Shot, Blink, Poison Arrow, and Crystal Spear. Hmm. None of those I can really resist more than I already do. Well, actually, Poison Arrow, but yeah, we can wield the Staff of OgFE. It's not gonna make me completely immune to Poison Arrow. It's just gonna make me greatly resisted because Poison Arrow deals physical damage. It used to be such a good player spell. It's kind of a shame that it no longer exists. Oh, look at that. We have a couple of items over there. That is the reason for this bolt. That explains everything. But I'm not gonna get those items because they're pretty bad. If they were good items, I would definitely get them, but they are not what I need with this character. Um, so yeah, in case you have never stepped on mutagenic clouds and you're curious about what happens, you don't immediately get malmutated. You get a bit of contamination, but it gives you a bit of contamination every turn, so it very quickly stacks up to the point where it's like not advisable to ever step on a cloud of mutagenic fog, because otherwise you might be stuck there for a while and you might be left with a lot of contamination, which means a lot of damage actually, up to the point where it could directly kill you. Even like you might not even get to the point where the mutations themselves kill you. If you get enough contamination, you start exploding in clouds of chaos that deal a lot of damage to you and to everything that surrounds you. And actually, the more contamination you have, the more violent the explosions. I remember trying it once a while ago in wizard mode. Like I just gave myself a million contamination, and the explosions were hitting literally the entirety of the screen. And someone thought that it might be possible to do a cigarette using only contamination if you manage to become immune to that somehow. But the thing is that you cannot become immune to the explosions. And you could say maybe death's door, but I don't know. There's also like a very like it's not easy to consistently become that contaminated. It like really is a ridiculous amount of contamination that you wouldn't get if you used all your mana. Like if you had 17 mana for some reason and you were unable to cast a level 9 spell, like actually like 100% chance of failure, and you casted that with all of your mana and you somehow didn't die from the miscasts, the contamination would still not be enough to make you explode in full line of sight contamination. And hey, look at this. That Demon Trident would be pretty good if I didn't already have something better. So yeah, that would have been nice to have earlier. There's also a Ring of Evasion and a leather armor that I cannot wear. So yeah, we're gonna leave it alone. I'm doing this for the possibility of having Ignite Poison. I think that is a very nice thing to be looking for because it will significantly increase the power level of my character. And not only that, but it will also enable me to wear the shadow scales that I have. The Obsidian Axe is also very dangerous, and I don't think I've ever used the Obsidian Axe for any like significant amount of time. I think I normally just like, even if I don't have good weapons, I just like leave it alone. It's really dangerous. In case you don't know what it does, it is a weapon that mesmerizes you whenever you are. Oh, come on. There it is. So the unsuspecting adventurers will unleash demons into this world. Beware, for it has ways of taking its wielder under its command. So what it does is that its wielder is mesmerized by any visible foes. Yeah, there it is. Um, Maybe if you have a Shensari, so you can become immune to mesmerize, it could be good. Um, but yeah, leaving that aside, I wouldn't bother with Obsidian Axe. Boulder Beetles are still your number one death. Blink does nothing versus them. Seriously, I find that a bit surprising because it might not be something that you like keep in mind, but early game deaths happen a lot. They happen very frequently. Your number one killer is probably something like a hobgoblin or a jackal, maybe even a kobold. But you only like keep in mind the boulder beetle deaths because they seem to happen when it's like unfair for them to appear. And I definitely do agree. Well, not the other day, but like a couple of months ago, I had a Dungeon 6 Boulder Beetle, and that is obviously like unreasonable. Um, yeah, blinking against them is kind of messed up. I don't like the current iteration of Boulder Beetles. I feel like they are a bit too powerful. Definitely too powerful for D6, I have to say so. Um, Okay, this Deep Elf Master Archer has dodged like 7 Starburst. Well, not really 7, but it has dodged a fair amount of them. Yeah, so many of them. Fortunately, I did manage to kill the Blade Master, which was a lot of damage as well. Fighting a Blade Master and a Master Archer with these defenses is definitely scary, like very scary, because they are a lot of burst damage and a lot of very consistent damage. Even like one of them on its own would be like too much. Fighting the two of them at the same time is definitely pretty bad. And now I'm in a very tricky position where the Master Archer is very likely to kill me because I used all my mana and I failed to hit it. Truly unfortunate. So I think I'm gonna use a scroll of blinking. I'm gonna blink over here. I don't think I take 50 in a single turn because it's gonna get some attacks, unfortunately. Oh, it didn't get any. Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna break line of sight. I'm gonna read the scroll of Fogu to further break line of sight. We're gonna drink ambrosia. We're gonna drink heal wounds while we are waiting for that. Oh, do I not have any heal wounds anymore? Well, that is unfortunate, but not much that we can do about it. Just gonna wait out the ambrosia. Okie dokie. 80 HP, it better be enough. So, I happen to have Fireball, but it also happens to have +6 Plate of Ponderousness. So, yeah, it's gonna be very hard for me to kill it with Fireball because, like, I'm just gonna shoot one for, what is it called? For context, I guess. Like, take a look at the amount of damage that it's gonna deal. It didn't even drop it. Like, it was moderately wounded before I shot the Fireball and it is still moderately wounded. So I would say that it did like 3 damage. Let's try acid. Oh, it did hit the Master Archer. I was expecting a miss. Well, let's try it again. Ouch. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's like nothing that I can do against a Master Archer. to prevent it from shooting. Normally, like against the spellcasters, you can use like File of Lots or whatever. Theoretically, I could also try to paralyze, but it has so much willpower that I cannot really do that at all. Yeah, 12% chance to paralyze. And it is extremely tanky too because of that +6 plate of ponderousness. And the saddest part about that is that monsters cheat. You might be aware of this, but monsters do not play by the same rules as players do. Like monster weapon attack delay is different, and among the upsides that a monster has is that, like, among them, um, they are not affected by ponderousness. So yeah, it's kind of lame. I'm just gonna blink again because I don't wanna die to this Master Archer. Um, I have little HP. I think I might be far away from the Master Archer to be able to run away from it. Yeah, it's not fast or anything, so I can just like run away from it. But you can only do it if it's not within your line of sight, because if it can see you, it can hurt you. So yeah, you should keep that in mind when you're escaping from one of those. Truly a shame. The first monster in the whole game that I've had to blink away from. Unfortunately, here I just blocked everything. Okay, I'm gonna use Lightning Rod because it bypasses armor class partially, and it also cannot be cannot miss. Wow. The Deep of Master Archer resists with almost no effort. What have I been doing? Oh, I am not using. I'm not using that. Okay, that was my bad. I should have been using the lightning rod to deal damage to that Master Archer. I might be able to beat it now because I am at full HP and I also have full mana. Like I can just keep throwing fireballs and eventually, like it's going to die from them. So I guess that went fine. From the monsters that can spawn here, Master Archers and Blade Masters are probably like the most dangerous ones because, as I mentioned, like very consistent damage and very hard for me to disable them. In addition to the fact that I just straight up don't have burst damage, and I also don't have like durability, so really, really hard fights for me. In comparison to the mages might seem more dangerous at first glance, but they are very easily disabled by just like File of Floods or a Scroll of Silence, and then I just like run away. And they are also not very tanky, so I could kill them with Fireball or other spells that I already have. But yeah, take a look at this Blade Master. Oh, it has fire resistance. Well, that explains a lot. No wonder it's not dying to what I'm doing to it. Yeah, that is quite unfortunate. Everyone seems to have something to kill me with. Mm. Ooh, pretty good knockback with that. That went pretty well. Maybe Ice Blast, because if it is resistant to Fireball... Okay, one more should kill. Wow, seriously? How did I lose so much HP so fast? Remember, I was at full HP when I started fighting that Blade Master. Oh man, this character is so fragile. At least I guess it's nice to be fragile when you have like when you have 200 HP than when you have like 100 or so, or maybe even less than that, which is the case for cats. As I mentioned before, when you are a cat, you kind of have like 2 hits of HP. Like whatever number it says on your HP, it actually doesn't matter because for practical purposes, if you get hit once, you already have low enough HP that you should disengage because if you get hit again, it's probably going to kill you. Fortunately, I don't have that issue with this ogre. It's actually the opposite. My HP is kind of what has been carrying me. All right. Round 2 against this Master Archer. They seem to come in pairs, one Blade Master and one Master Archer, which is really bad because they complement each other super well. Blade Masters are very evasive, and Master Archers obviously are like ranged attackers. So the Blade Master can just be like in front of you, evasion tanking your attacks, while the Blade Master just like stays away and shoots you to death, while also being relatively evasive itself. At least this one doesn't happen to have a +6 plate, so it is actually killable by fireballs. So that's nice. We level up, we get some intelligence, and we continue. And we're about to hit minimum delay for the mace, or for the demon whip. That is pretty nice. Something that I feel that I have to notate is that we have gotten kind of unlucky. We have seen Donald and Luis, two very infamous uniques for their usage of shields, and none of them had any like special shield or anything. Donald had a plain kite shield when he is likely to have reflection. That's like a special case for Donald. Donald sometimes, or not sometimes, but often has a kite shield of reflection specifically, and this time he didn't get one. And Luis is, I don't think Luis is particularly special cased, but that's like another shield that generated without anything special on it that I could upgrade to. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Let's use summoning, which is something that I have. Wow, why? What happened there? Did I only get an archer and a two-headed ogre? Oh, I also got a short sword. Okay. Well, still not very nice. I'm just gonna hide behind my guys and hope that they manage to reach the master archer. Oh, it's a shapeshifter. That explains everything. Okay, it died instantly. No fire resistance. So one more explosion. There we go. Good old fireballs. Good old fireballs. Definitely did the trick here. Let me drop these boomerangs and disable the pickup because I do not care about boomerangs on this character. Oh, look at that! We have a bunch of experience evocables and a bunch of goodies. Actually, I am going to check them all. I see a couple of books there, so fingers crossed for finally getting Ignite Poison. Like, I promise you that it will be a significant power increase for the character. Like, it's so late in the game, and it's a level 3 spell, and it will be a significant power increase for this character. Manual of Fighting. Okay, that is nice. Yes. Oh, let's go. Oh, that is good. That is great. I am so happy that I went in here and I decided to do the bolt, hoping for Ignite Poison because we did get Ignite Poison from it. I don't want that. But yeah, leaving aside Ignite Poison, we also got the Manual of Fighting, which is huge. A Manual of Fighting with +3 aptitude is like literally just turn that on right now. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. In addition to that, we are going to learn Toxic Radiance again, and we are going to learn Ignite Poison. Where is it? Where is it? Give me Ignite Poison. It cannot be that low. There it is. No, that's not it. This is it. So Ignite Poison is just like a game changer for my character. I'm also going to get Noxious Bug probably. It's kind of expensive. Yeah, it's level 6 Transmutation Poison. So I might skip it actually. I might skip it. Let's see here. Transmutation 6. So yeah, we're gonna train that first, and then we're gonna train fighting until I run out of the manual. But now I can do like so many things that I was just unable to do before because I didn't have burst damage, and now I have burst damage. Like for example, I can just go back to the Staff of OgFE and like run around here and cast the Toxic Radiance, wait a while for these guys to be poisoned, and then like Ignite Poison. Good old Ignite Poison. Beautiful, beautiful. It's so nice. Like, and the best thing about that is that I can do it against many monsters at the same time. I don't have to rely on whatever I was using to kill monsters before because now I have something that is exponentially better. So before 0.27, this spell that I'm currently using, Ignite Poison, used to be on the starting book of the Venom Mage. So if you want to try something really, really powerful, give 0.26 Venom Mage a try because it's really, really good. In 0.27, you kind of have to rely on finding it on the floor, unfortunately. And as you can see, it can take a while for it to generate. But when it does, you will still have a good time. It's definitely like a spell that remains relevant for the entirety of a 3-rune game. It kind of does fall off at some point, not gonna lie. But the point is like super late in the game, like late SOT, SOT 5, because it doesn't do anything against leeches or orbs of fire. Or most dragons actually, but it does kill draconians pretty well. It does kill killer clowns. It kills orb guardians. It is like usable even in SOT 5, so it is definitely like a really fantastic spell. And in case you were wondering why it was removed from the starting book, that would be why, because the current development philosophy regarding starting books is that they shouldn't have spells that you use like for the entirety of a 3-rune game. That's why LRD was removed. That's why like so many of the spells that have been removed were removed. All right, looking good. Was your favorite to just run through Orcish Mines? Yeah, mine too. Mine too. It's kind of a shame that it was removed. But fortunately, I already got it back on this character, and I am just like, what you're currently seeing is like what the Venom Mage experience. Like just run around, poison things, guide them a bit, and then burst them down with Ignite Poison because it deals ungodly amounts of damage for a level 3 spell. Like look at that. That's 4 exclamation symbols, which means at least 72 damage. That's what it means, at least 72. From a single level 3 spell that I don't even have at like a high power level. Let's see, what is it? Ignite Poison. 74% power. And it deals, and it does that. Like it's on another level. Oh yeah, having the Staff of OgFE is actually kind of nice because it gives me some enhancement for poison magic, and most importantly, I can also use it to poison things that are not normally poisonable, like monsters that are poison resistant. I am pretty sure that you cannot poison monsters that are immune, but you can deal extra damage to them. I am pretty sure of that. And I trained a bit of stapes with cross-training from the Demon Whip, so that's why I am able to use that that thing as a weapon now. It's pretty nice. Okay, I'm thinking about what I want to do here because like the alligator snapping turtle is very tanky, and I like need to devote like around 10 turns to killing it between poison and ignite poison and running away from it. But I cannot do that because of Izul. So I think the best thing to do is probably to like fireball Izul, and once she steps next to me, I go upstairs, and now I fight Izul alone. Yeah, that's definitely the correct thing to do. And yeah, good luck dealing anything or doing anything to me with immunity to poison. I guess she has a 9% chance to put me to sleep. which would be kind of bad, especially if she is supporting the alligator snapping turtle, but fortunately it didn't happen. Okay, using the Staff of OgFE as a melee weapon is not a terrible idea. Okay, that hurt a lot. Hit me for 40 when the maximum roll is 50. Alright, I guess that's kind of what happens when you have bad defenses. And this character certainly does have bad defenses. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's my bad. I typoed. I'm trying to target the drowned soul, and that is not correct. So yeah, that was something that I would consider to be a feat of patience. I just managed to survive up until the point where I got Ignite Poison, and now I'm like getting rewarded for that. It's surprising how powerful it is. I would even go ahead and compare it to something like Ignition. It's on that league of like just a spell, or I guess in this case a combination of spells that delete the screen when you cast them. And unlike Ignition, this is significantly cheaper to get, and you can get it so much early too, so much more early, or so much earlier than Ignition. So yeah, very good and very powerful. And now I could theoretically just wear the shadow scales that I have to. I'm probably going to give them a try once I finish training my transmutations. I'm going to train it to 6, and then we're going to check out, or check that out. I am probably going to come back and buy that Wand of Acid. Let's take a look at my wish list. I have a Scroll of Enchant Armor in my wish list. It might not be a terrible idea to start enchanting something. Probably the shadow scales, because when it comes to resistances, I have the Crown of Dairo de Prueba. That gives me resistance to electricity, which means that I should probably not even bother waiting for storm scales, or even like hoping for storm scales at all. I cannot really get them with this character. Gozag makes corpses turn into gold, which includes the scales, so any monsters that would drop scales or leather armor or something along those lines, they don't do that when you're worshipping Gozag. It is a downside, but I would consider it to be like a very minor downside compared to the vast upside that is like literally everything else that Gozag provides. The gold aura, the ability to get some potions for free, like you get multiple potions instantly. That is pretty strong. You can for sure get some bad potions, but more often than not, they can be pretty good. So yeah, we're gonna train some fighting until the manual runs out, and I should definitely check the thing that I mentioned before. I can also drop the Scrolls of Enchant Weapon. I don't think I'm gonna use them anymore. So Shadow Scales. Okay. As you can see, Passage of Galubri is not really castable. Same goes for Starburst, Blink, Toxic Radiance. Toxic Radiance not being castable is actually an issue. So I'm gonna have to train a bit more Poison and a bit more, well, a lot of armor before I can actually use the Shadow Scales. But I'm probably gonna roll with them for a while until I find something better on the floor. If I ever find something better on the floor, that is. Okay. Sea snakes are not poison resistant, believe it or not. You would think that one of the most poisonous monsters in the entire game would be poison resistant, but it is not. And I guess the same can be said for some of the other very poisonous monsters in this game, like redbacks, for example. Of course, there's some like Emperor Scorpions and Ghost mods that are indeed very poison resistant. So yeah, it's kind of funny how they are, how it's like asymmetrical. some monsters that are very poisonous are also very poison resistant, and some monsters are some monsters are actually weak to it. Wait, I don't need that ring because I have resist corrosion already. I have many sources of it. In real life, most poisonous venomous things are susceptible to poison in Australia, at least. Yeah, that is actually the case for like most insects. You use insecticide, which is literally poison, and they die very quickly from it. I don't really know how it works for the things that you use insecticide on, but I kind of have always assumed that it works because they are like smaller things, so they a bigger percentage of their body gets affected by the poison, and I would assume that that makes them die from it quicker. Like just for example, like if you as a human like submerge in the top of raid or something, you're probably also gonna die really quickly. So probably don't do it if you have the chance to do it anyway. So yeah. Mm, but I don't know if that is how it works for sure. I just assume that's how it works. I should probably do some research on that sometime because I like to like look up things that I've always wondered about. Like I should also look up how microwaves work. I've always wondered, and I mean I understand that it's like a thing that just bounces microwaves and that makes the food hotter. But I want to know how the microwaves are generated and how like they are directed towards the food to actually make it hotter. I think that's um, I think that's interesting for some reason. Mm. Oh, this is the ending to Shoals. That's for Shoals 4. We went by so quickly. It really like is testament of how much the character changed once I got Ignite Poison. Because I am actually like before Ignite Poison, this would be a death sentence for the character because like all of these monsters after Ignite Poison is just a matter of like surviving for like 4 or 5 turns and then pressing the magical button that kills everything. It really is like a game changer. Ooh, it's so nice. There is really no equivalent for what just happened to me as a mage for a melee character, because I think a melee character can always like stand a chance even if it's wielding like a really bad entry level weapon, and getting like going from let's say that you are using a mace, right, which is like the entry level weapon for some melee characters, and you happen to find like an evening star on the floor, it's still not gonna be as much of a power increase as finding ignite poison on a character that has access to toxic radiance. It is pretty crazy. Mm, wow, that thing died super fast. It was 2 casts of toxic radiance, or not toxic radiance, but poisonous vapors, and and then ignite poison, and it just drops dead. It is wow. Yes, poisonous vapors, ignite poison. Okay, that guy didn't die from it, but we can do it again. Most insecticides use cypermethrin, which is a neurotoxin that stops their breathing. Oh, I see. It makes sense. Um, Most of those insects, like even cockroaches, need to breathe. Cockroaches are like infamously uh, resilient. Like they can even survive like nuclear strikes and stuff. But they still need to breathe. So if you deprive them of the ability to breathe, they're probably gonna die really quickly. Um, you miss the old Osokubo's refrigeration? What do you mean by the old one? It's still in the game. It's only level 7 now, but I think the spell level increase is perfectly fair for how powerful the spell is. I think it's perfectly fair at level 7, personally. Um, but yeah, I actually prefer that kind of change because it's like just the same thing, but now it's a bit harder to get, as opposed to the thing that you used to like is gone forever and you cannot get it anymore, and you kind of have to deal with using a lesser version of the thing that you liked before, which is funnily enough, exactly what happened to Maclef Healing. Maclef Healing is just a straight up half of what it used to be in 0.26 and before. And there is no way for you to ever increase that. Um, so it's literally gone forever. And I personally disagree with that kind of nerf. I think it would be nice to have it scale with evocations. Maybe even make it heal more than it used to heal before if you have a very high amount of evocations. Like maybe upwards of 20, it heals you more than it used to heal before, which would be a very good incentive for training evocation, or not evocations, but invocations with good old Maclef. The incentive that was given, which is like the fact that now his abilities are like significantly stronger than they used to be, I don't buy that. Like you would have, if the developers had told us these scales with invocations now, that would be much more of an incentive for me to train invocations with Maclef than the new summons or the new abilities, I guess, because he doesn't really get new summons. It's the same as it has always been in the summons department. In fact, what got buffed was the abilities minor destruction and major destruction. Now they are actually good. But still, in my opinion, not worth it to go Maclef for them. You go Maclef for the healing, to be completely honest. Does Maclef nerf just hard nerf Jin? Yes, I also agree with that. The Maclef nerf was a hard nerf to Jin. And unfortunately, there were no compensation buffs. That is something that I have noticed in regards to crawl development across the years. Whenever something gets indirectly nerfed because of the nerf or removal of something else, not like they don't get compensation buffs at all, which is kind of a shame. I think that across the years that has greatly affected deep elves. I've mentioned it before. Yet again, I feel like I say that a lot, but I will mention it again because, like, I would like to believe that different people watch on a frequent basis. You may not have heard me say this, but everything that made a deep elf compelling to play has been like removed from the game. Like Behemoth used to be you used to get Behemoth Piety like super fast. Now you get it pretty slow, which means that it takes quite a while for you to get level 9 spells from him. Haste was removed. Phase Shift was removed. Deflect Missiles was removed. Control Blink was removed. Like very high level, very powerful utility spells have been removed throughout the 10, almost 11 years that I have been playing this. And like very few, if like maybe no compensation buffs have been applied to Deep Elf at all. It is really crazy. Um, yeah, but when Center got removed, Deep Elf got +3 bows for some reason. Yeah, in case you needed bows. Oh, yeah, this is the ending to Shoals. I was expecting to get a new one because there's a new ending to Shoals that was just introduced to the game like super recently. But I got the good old one, which I guess is okay. New endings could be very dangerous, but I would be okay because I think the one new ending that has already been put in the game is like a Storm Giant's Castle. Like it has a Titan, obviously, and it also has like a bunch of electricity monsters and stuff. I don't know if it has a Storm Dragon, but I think it wouldn't be out of place if it had a Storm Dragon. So yeah, if I had gotten that one, I would have been okay because I have resistance to electricity. So yeah, we got the rune number 2. I think I'm gonna take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. In In the meantime, I'm gonna play a bit of an ad break. Don't go anywhere, please. Um, all right, I am back. I have returned. We can continue with this. Let me poke some plants because why not? Alrighty. Let's go do bolts. Yeah, I think I should be okay doing the rest of bolts. I can even wield my spear. Yeah, I can even wield my spear for resistances. So let's go to bolts too. And now, apart from like slime creatures and other monsters that are poison resistant, like skeletons, stuff like that, we should have a pretty good time here. Like the difference from pre and post toxic gradients will be significant in this Forsaken place. Yeah, just take a look at that. Before I had Ignite Poison, that fight would have taken me quite a while. But now that I have it, the fight's just like I actually can fight without losing 100 HP. It is like magic. It's like night and day. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I think I turned on when I turned on fighting. I think it was 15. Now it is almost 21, and it's still going. The beauty of being a Nugger that found a manual of fighting, that is. Okay, these guys are not poison resistant. I mean the opposite. They are immune to poison. So that's pretty bad. Yeah, that's like kind of my kryptonite. In fact, these guys are immune to electricity, poison, fire, cold, and negative energy. They have a ton of armor class, so it's kind of hard to kill them, even though they don't have that much HP. But they are not immune to acid, so we are gonna give that a try. Okay, it's almost destroyed. So what I want to do now is kill it with Mystic Blast. Oh, it hit it, but it did no damage. One more. Oh, come on. There we go. Alrighty. That was a bit of a scary fight because, well, it is a monster that is immune to ignite poison, so it's understandable that I had a bit of a hard time with it. Fortunately, it was only one of them. I might even be able to get away with like not having cold resistance with how much damage I am doing. Let's go back to the Staff of Olgref. All right. Funny thing, storm dragons do not have resistance to poison, so they are one of the higher profile dragons that just straight up die to my combination of spells. Pretty sweet. Yeah, it took a couple of casts, but it certainly did die. Oh wait, do I want to pick that up? I think I do actually. I think I prefer having a ring of protection than a ring of evasion. Yeah, 18 armor class makes me feel a bit safer. Something that I can tell you that is getting a bit of an that is getting a bit annoying about using the Staff of Olgref is that every time I wield it, it auto quivers itself instead of keeping what I want on the quiver. So unwielding and re-wielding the Staff of Olgref is getting a bit old. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wield the Demon Whip for HP. All right, that went pretty well. That was like the first kind of high-profile fight that I had with the Demon Whip, and I ended with much more HP than I started with. I feel like this character like got super good super quickly. Okay, you're gonna see another funny thing about this game. These lindworms hit you super hard with fire breath, but they are not fire resistant themselves. So you can do the good old ignite poisoning on them. Very effective. Okay, that there is one of them that is only very poison. That is a bit insane. Alright. Another peacekeeper. Well, as long as it is alone, we can kill it, and then we don't have to worry about dealing with a mighty crystal guardian. Oh, look at that hat. That is a pretty bad hat, and that is a pretty good tower shield. Yeah, we're gonna buy that immediately. Normally I would wait to see if I find something better, but I am not going to find something better than a tower shield of resistance. Yeah, now my resistances are going to be excellent, even without wielding the spear that I was using as a sky weapon. But if I do wield the spear, my resistances look like almost as if I was wearing gold scales, which is obviously excellent. Now I only have to worry about being able to wear heavier armor for more armor class, and I am good to go to win the game. And by the way, my manual already ran out, so I am going to start training armor. Well, maybe maces first, for 12 maces, minimum delay on the Demon Whip, and then we are gonna train some armor. Like magic, it is magic. Yeah, it definitely is like magic. Uh, I love it, I love it. Super good. Mm. Oh yeah, that is. It's like a treat. I feel like I just got done with a long day at work, and I am like having a comfort meal or something. That's what it feels like to finally get Ignite Poison after going through a significant part of the game without it. And without any other spells that fulfill a similar purpose, I guess. Because if you have something that does the same thing as Ignite Poison, then you don't really need Ignite Poison. And I did have spells available to me that were similar to Ignite Poison from very early in the game. Like, if you remember the previous stream, my D1 has a shop with literally Ignition and Osakubu's Refrigeration. But the thing is that those are level 7 spells, and I have -1 aptitudes in those things. Getting to a level 7 spell and getting to a level 4 spell, one of them is gonna be much faster than the other. So yeah, those spells were not really in the picture. Yeah, it was very unlikely for me to ever try to get them, just because of how expensive it is to actually do so. And again, I guess, pretty good. Oh, by the way, what's your chance to vanish me? 1% now. Alrighty. Not gonna complain about that. Alright, now I feel like I am actually gaming. Before it was me struggling to survive. Now it's me playing the game. We're gonna use a Starburst against all of these guys. And we are also gonna use that. And a bit of this. And I have so much fire resistance that I can afford myself to give to do some inner flaming. Yeah, perfect. Now all these simulacrum are going to step on those clouds of fire. So they are gonna die super quickly because they are simulacrum or skeletons. Ooh, look at that, it's Saint Roca. Saint Roca just happens to be not poison resistant, so we can definitely do... Oh, never mind. He has poison resistance, or... that could be a serious problem. Yeah, we're gonna get away from here. I can kill him, but I definitely need some mana to do so. And I would like to take the fight with Saint Roca having as least support as possible. Okay. Really thinking about what I should do here. I mean, I can definitely win the fight, but it is a bit complicated. It's like a bit of a throwback to the time when I didn't have Ignite Poison. So I guess I'm gonna have to use like good old Starburst, or maybe before I do whatever, let's just try to get Brilliance. And that is not Brilliance. Okay, I'm just gonna get Haste and Heal Wounds, I guess. And now we are gonna try to get Brilliance. Sticky Flame on Saint Roca, guide Roca around, and then Starburst. Starburst again, Sticky Flame. So Brilliance is important here because I am using a lot of mana. So Brilliance makes your spells cost half mana. Yeah, that means double the amount of spells cast during the fight with your same mana pool. So it's definitely a pretty good thing to have when you're fighting things that you don't know that you're gonna be able to kill soon. Like, against very tanky things, Brilliance is really good. And also in situations like, for example, a Ziggurat, where you don't really have consistent mana regen. I guess Behemoth, or not Behemoth, but Gozag can be kind of considered a bit of consistent mana regen. But not quite. Yeah, I don't know if I would call Gozag consistent mana regen, because you're not guaranteed to get potions of mana. Mm-hmm. Okie dokie, we are going to get away from there and rest to full mana. Getting full mana is more important, and that is actually the reason why I am using an amulet of mana regen instead of an amulet of regular regen. Running out of mana will mean that you're probably gonna run out of HP very soon after that. And running out of HP is kind of complicated if you don't run out of mana, so I think mana regen is slightly better than regular regen for this particular character. Okay, really good. I can't believe that we finally found a better tower shield. I don't think I've ever before found a tower shield of resistance. Like that might be a first one for me. And I've been playing for the other day I counted how many hours I've played across all of my accounts. Well, I only have 3 accounts, but it seems that I've played for 2,700 hours. That is a lot of time, actually. It is a bit surprising to me that I've used so much time to play Crawl. But on the other hand, I've also been playing for 10 and a half years, almost 11, so it's understandable, I guess. It's not like I only just picked up this game last year or something. Imagine 2,700 hours in a game that you just started playing last year. That I would consider to be absolutely insane. In fact, is that even possible? It probably is possible. Yeah, 2,700 hours. It's been a wild ride, but I've had a good time with the game overall. 1,600 hours in Hades. Started less than a year ago. Yeah, Hades definitely did release less than a year ago. It's getting close to being a year of its release, right? Maybe the developers will do something for it. I think I've heard that they do not care about doing DLC for Hades. That they consider the game to be done as it is, and that they shouldn't expect, like the fans shouldn't expect DLC to be developed. I guess it's fine because sometimes DLC is a negative addition to some games. For example, Darkest Dungeon. I feel like in Darkest Dungeon all of the DLC is bad. The DLC classes are overpowered. The DLC areas are boring and very long and very grindy. And yeah, I just don't like the DLC in that game, for example. Makes me glad that all the upgrades or all the updates in Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup are free. You don't have to pay 1 cent for them. Yeah, it's kind of funny how, because there's so many developers of the game, it's like really hard and actually disincentivized to donate to the development team. In fact, I don't think you can do it. Instead of that, you should donate to the servers if you want to monetarily contribute to Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Yeah, the servers are definitely like very important. Very, very, very important. With no servers, there's no playing online, and if there is no playing online, there's no keeping track of things like like what I've been talking about. I wouldn't have any way to know that I've played Crawl for 2,700 hours if it was not for the fact that servers exist. So that is definitely quite nice of them. Very valuable for me. Um, I've done pretty much all of my crawling online, except for like very few occasions where I have contributed to the development process, but in a super minor way. Like it was actually only once that I was testing a sprint bolt that someone in the chat was developing. Like good old IRC days, I helped develop Bit Sprint. Yeah, that's the one. And I like had to compile the version of Crawl with Bitsprint and stuff, and it was fun. It was fun to play test that. I think I am in the credits for that sprint specifically. Um, but apart from that, I haven't done much developing of Crawl myself since I do not know how to code. I've tried to learn before, but it just doesn't. It's not something that resonates with me. I'm more of I don't know. It's just something that doesn't resonate with me. But I certainly do like to do other things, technology related. As you probably already know, I like to build computers and stuff. That's something that I do quite a lot whenever I have the chance, and it's in fact something that I've already monetized before. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, I can't really do so. Or I can't really build computers so frequently, at least now. But maybe after we all get vaccinated in Mexico, I can go back to building a lot of computers. Um, you played a lot of offline back in the days when Wi-Fi was less available. Yeah, I get you. Fortunately, when I found out about Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, it was like 2011. Yeah, it was 2011. So I've always had the chance to play Crawl um, connected to a server, and whenever I don't have the chance to play it on a server, I just don't play it at all. But fortunately, I haven't had that happen very frequently. And yeah, I also could never get into Hades. It's just like something that doesn't resonate with me. It's kind of a shame because all of the games of that studio, they're like super cool looking and like they definitely look kind of appealing to me, except for the fact that they are all isometric view games. That is like my bane. It's my nemesis when it comes to playing more traditional games. If your game is like isometric view, I am very likely to drop it, which is exactly what happened with Hades. I got the game. I even played a bit on stream when it released. Um, but then I dropped it because it was just like not good feeling for me because of the whole isometric view thing. But yeah, now we are experience level 23. I have finished Bolts 4. I could do Bolts 5 because I have Ignite Poison. And yeah, I am not exaggerating when I tell you that Ignite Poison is on the same level as also Kubus Refrigeration and Ignition. Like it just clears the screen. It's that powerful, and therefore it is a very good spell for going into Bolts 5. I think we can give it a try. Let's give it a good old try. Before that, however, let's take a look at my success rates. And let's use shadow scales. It looks okay. Definitely looks much better than before. It used to be that I had 17% chance to miscast Toxic Radiance. Still don't like that it's like 10% on a spell that I am pretty much going to be spamming. So what I'm going to do is not use them just yet. I'm going to stick to the acid scales and I'm going to haste before going downstairs. I'm also going to try to get brilliance from doing this. Invisibility might be nice. Let's give it a try. Everything sees invisible except for, well, all of these vault guards see invisible, but some monsters over here do not. I wonder why there is an Orc Warrior here. Yeah, that seems kind of weird. Maybe the monster generation for Bolt 5 was not changed when the changes were made to the Bolt or to the level generation of Bolts 1 through 4. Um, we are going to do some of good old Ignite Poisoning. Or, yeah, Toxic Radiance Ignite Poison is what we are gonna do. If I had Immolation, I would consider using it. Okay, that didn't really kill any Bolt Guards. Yeah, it actually killed 0 Bolt Guards. As you can see, there's still 24 on the screen, or at least there were 24 until I decided to kill some of them using Toxic Radiance again. So I'm gonna blink, walk towards them, just to keep poisoning them. Oh, I have Condenser Bane. Ooh, it's tempting. Okay, I'm gonna do it. And yeah, that's just gonna kill mostly everything. Baisu Shen is like mostly unscathed. Um, when it comes to Baisu Shen, it's gonna be complicated to kill her. She is resistant to poison and resistant to cold as well. That is oddly specific. That we happen to get everything that she is resistant to. I guess she's not resistant to fire, but my fire magic is not as good as my poison magic. And funnily enough, I've trained way more fire magic than poison magic. Something to think about. Okay, the Dreadlich makes me a bit nervous. I think I'm just gonna read teleport here, just to play it safe. Yeah, I also don't have a good way to kill it, and it has a 9% chance to paralyze me. So if I get unlucky with that, I just explode, and then that's a sad end for the streak. So let's not do that. Let's teleport instead. Hmm. You know, the fact that Baisu Shen exists in this level at all makes me kind of not want to do it, believe it or not. Oh yeah, I was wondering why those were marked as useful, but then I remembered that I am an ogre and that those happen to be something that I can make use of. Very nice, but we are definitely not going to care about large rocks. It's not that kind of character. I think I also mentioned that yesterday. I definitely like my large rocks, but not on a character that has magic. I wonder if this is the real rune or a mimic. Oh, it's the real rune. Look at that. Okay, I could just leave. I could just leave for sure. Probably not going to. I actually don't know. Maybe I should leave. I think that was the fire dragon that I saw there. So it turns out that the fire dragon was a shapeshifter, which is pretty nice because a fire dragon is much harder to deal with than a hog. All right. Goodbye, Mr. Etin, and we can tap down the tentacle monstrosity, or we can try, and it can hit me pretty hard in return. Hmm. Okay. Pretty good. I think I'm just gonna leave actually because I'm starting to see like a fair amount of things that I actually have like a bit of a hard time dealing with. Like the Lich, for example, the Dread Lich. I don't have a good way to deal with those other than use my Wand of Acid, and I definitely don't want to use a Wand of Acid. So I am going to go to Depths 1 because I now have 3 runes. I can just go do SOT and win the game like that. But I think I'm gonna leave it for tomorrow because I'm really like not feeling particularly good. I might be hungry or something, but I feel like dizzy and I have a headache and ooh, I'm like having cold sweats and stuff. So yeah, I think it's just safer for me to leave it here. I will be back tomorrow. We will finish this character tomorrow. Um, and thank you for watching and thank you for like hanging out and like interacting in the chat. It is like really something that I appreciate. That like people stay here and say hello and that kind of stuff. Um, but with that being said, I am just going to end stream. And I will see you not tomorrow actually. Well, actually maybe tomorrow, but it would be early, way too early for my Australian viewers. And considering how that's like um, my viewer base, pretty much, people from Australia and Russia and those places. I think I'm just not gonna stream tomorrow, which is Wednesday. I normally don't stream on Wednesdays, and I'll be back on Thursday to finish this character and maybe start a new one. But I still do not know for sure. So yeah. Oh, thank you for watching, and I will see you on Thursday with more Crawl. I am sorry that I wasn't able to go for as long as I wanted to. I just wanted to finish this character, but I am not feeling well, and I would rather just like leave it here before I kill the character. So see you around.